I'm Hamish McArthur. I'm a climber and I'm going to be going to the Moscow World Championships, which is my first ever senior World Championships. So that's incredibly exciting. It'll be my first ever senior boulder competition as well. So it's a pretty big one to go in on. So yeah, it means a lot because for the first time ever, I'm going into it with confidence. Like I feel like I can beat everyone there. So the biggest difference for me between a senior and a youth event at the moment is that in a youth event, I know exactly where I stand. I go into it expecting to be the best. Where in a senior competition, I haven't done so many, so I don't know exactly where I stand. There's a bit more uncertainty there, which in some ways increases the pressure, as I know I've really got to bring my A game in order to win. But in some ways, you know, it's my first ever World Championship, so no one's really looking at me thinking, this guy's got to win it. So yeah, I feel like I just got to go out and do my best, and no one really cares what happens apart from me, and obviously I'm wanting to win. I think for me the biggest thing is just competition experience. Like, although at the moment I don't feel the pressure, I don't get too nervous, I feel there's a lot of subconscious nerves that can come out when it's your first big event. So for me, the biggest challenge is just going to be able to overcome that and feel like I'm really at home in the competition, like I belong there, like I deserve to be there, which I definitely do. So I just need to keep reminding myself of that and why I'm there. So on the theme of confidence, I feel like after winning boulder and lead at the Youth World Championships, I know exactly where I am in terms of my personal performance. I'm the best I've ever been, and I'm beating people who are World Cup finalists. My category at the youth is very good. Like, there's a lot of people in there who make senior finals consistently. In my category, there's Olympians, there's World Cup winners. So I think for me, it's definitely been a positive influence on my climbing, knowing that against all of those people at the moment in time, I'm a level above them. So I just need to go and translate that onto a senior stage and not get too freaked out by the event and the magnitude of it all. So physically, long-term physically, I do a lot of strength training. I do a lot of climbing. I'm in the wall 6 days a week, and on my rest days, I'm still doing stuff. I'm stretching. I'm doing rehab work. So there's a lot that goes into it physically. Like, the whole body needs to be strong, like arms, legs, fingers, everything. But then recently, like the short term leading up to an event, you taper off a lot. So my sessions have been a fair amount shorter. I've been taking more rest. I've been doing more rehab, more flexibility stuff, just in preparation for a big physical event that's going to happen in not that long. And I need to be in good shape and not have any tweaks. Mainly with mental tactics and mental preparation, I think is for me just as important as the physical preparation. Like, you can be as strong as you like, but if you don't have the mental fortitude for that situation, you're not going to perform well. So I do a lot of visualization, and in trainings I'm always thinking, how would I be if this was a competition scenario? I put myself in the position. And then mental tactics wise, there's not too much you can do until you're actually at the event for me, as long as you're in a sound mental state when you go and you feel confident, you feel ready, which I do at the moment. There's not too much, but then there probably will be some mind games with the other competitors. And like with Max, he doesn't know, but I've been playing mind games on him for about a year now, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he does. So with the whole lockdown and everything leading up to it, obviously Britain has been hit way harder than most European countries who are competing and most Asian countries who are competing, and America and all that. There's been way more severe lockdowns here. So I feel like there has been a certain degree of lack of preparation for comp style boulders, because I've been not able to access the best facilities in the world since 2019 basically to train. So I think the impact of that has been that I'm now really physically strong, really prepared physically, just because I've done so much strength work, because I've not been able to be on the fancy blocks and stuff, so I've just had to get really strong. But there's definitely a certain thing that I'm missing, and that a lot of British athletes are missing, which is actually applying that onto competition style boulders. So So I think that's going to be the biggest struggle for British athletes. It's not that they're not going to be physically capable of the blocks at all. It's just going to be whether or not they can figure out the sequence, they can do all of like the suitable route reading, and they can feel comfortable in a competition when they haven't been in that environment for 2 years. So yeah, competing in lead and boulder at the World Championships is definitely physically hard. Like you have to do, for Youth Worlds, I had to climb 7 days in a row. I had to compete for 7 days in a row without a rest day, which is, that's more days than I train in a row usually. So there's not quite as extreme at this competition, but there's still the same amount of rounds in a row. So hopefully that'll be 6 rounds, like a quali, semi and final, and then a quali semi-final for the other discipline. So physically you just have to be really careful with skin. That's a big thing that I've discovered. Even if it means sacrificing some tops or some moves in a route to save skin for the next round, if you've got the confidence to do that, you definitely should. And taping up in warm-up and just making little sacrifices and making sure you get enough sleep so you're well recovered. And then mentally just to switch off completely when you're not competing, because it's a marathon. You just got to wind down. As soon as you're off the wall, pretty much, I would just go back to the hotel and just not think about competition until half an hour before I leave for the wall the next day, and then trust myself that I can switch it back on and I can switch it back off. And that's the only way for me that I can sustain the psych throughout the whole event. It's definitely hard to switch off. It's a skill. You can learn to do it, and I'm always looking for ways to do that, because it's definitely beneficial for general life and performance, being able to just switch off. So you just have to find distractions. It's as simple as distracting yourself from the elephant in the room, which is that you're at the World Championships. So if that's watching, some YouTube wormhole that you go down, or if it's, playing football with Max or whatever when I'm there, it's just little distractions that make you forget about the imminent competition. Thing that I want to see, regardless of style, regardless of the type of hold, is just something hard. I really like boulders that are just physically and mentally challenging. The worst rounds for me are the ones where the boulders are easy and you just have to flash them all and you can't make any mistakes, which comes back to that lack of comp preparation that British people have had. It just feels like we can do all the boulders physically, but sometimes it takes a couple goes to learn the sequence and stuff, just because we're not as exposed to that style of climbing. So yeah, I'll be happy if there's a hard round that I can sink my teeth into. I can't make any excuses. I can either do the boulders or I can't. So that's the best way for it to be for me, and not just split on attempts or attempts on zones. So immediately after Moscow, there's a Boulder World Cup in Seoul, which, again, my first Boulder World Cup. So I want to, go to that in good physical form. So I don't want to ruin myself in Moscow. I want to be doing well there. And then bigger picture, I'm just going to be competing and training until 2024, which is where I think people can probably guess what I'm wanting to achieve there. And then 4 years after that, I'm wanting to repeat that in 2028. So ideally, in 7 years' time, I'll have 2 Olympic golds. Who knows if that's going to happen? But that's the ultimate aim. That's the horizon that I'm aiming for. And I'm sure along the way there'll be other stuff that comes up that I'm not expecting. But yeah, that's definitely where I'm headed.